Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to The Discriminating Gamer, the board game review show what with its flowing red hair played Marty McFly for the first 6 weeks of filming Back to the Future, until it was fired and the role was given to Michael J. Fox, Canadian. Ladies and gentlemen, the Second World War in Russia was perhaps the most horrific, apocalyptic, catastrophic conflict in human history. So what better way to take a look at it than with half-naked anime chicks? I am, of course, talking about Barbarossa from Arclight Games and Kamikaze Games. And I gotta tell you, ladies and gentlemen, some of the artwork is a little risque you're gonna see in this review. So if that offends you, may I recommend you go back and take a look at my Star Wars Rebellion review. It was great. Barbarossa from Arclight Games and Kamikaze Games sees 2 to 5 players take on the role of German divisional commanders in World War II as they invade the Soviet Union in the June 1941 invasion. Now, the cards you're playing with represent kind of military units, supply units, Russian cities, Russian objectives, but all of the cards feature these scantily clad anime chicks. Go figure. Now, at the beginning of the game, you each get a starting deck of 8 cards. You get kind of these horse-drawn transport cards. You also get some of the army cards, the weaker army cards. Now, how the game works is there's kind of a point system for everything you do in this game, meaning you have to have tactics. In order to play cards, you have to have cards that say you can play a tactic. You always get one tactic, but you can play more depending on the cards you use. Now, every round, this is what you're going to do. Now, the first round, you don't worry about this, but in subsequent rounds, if you have any exhausted cards in deployment, you go ahead, you put them face up. Then what you do is you go ahead and play cards. You can play cards down to put them in the deployment zone, which means they're kind of there, and they're going to give you power when you're ready to use them. They come in, most of them come in exhausted, meaning they're tapped, they're to the side, and you have to kind of, at the beginning of the next round, you will untap them. You will, again, make them ready. But then you can also play cards. The cards give you more tactic points, so you can play more cards. The cards give you kind of recruitment points, and we'll talk about that later. They'll let you to draw more cards. So there's all sorts of things. But they'll also give you kind of attack bonuses that you will see as well. Now, one of the things you're doing is you are trying to attack these fortified positions, these fortified hills, and Russian cities. And you're trying to attack them by using the combat value of your cards. So you play them. Sometimes you're going to have to exhaust cards, maybe even return them to the war zone, which is kind of the various cards you can buy from, in order to spend the attack to take out those particular positions. Now, after you have done that, after you've engaged in combat, played the cards, engaged in combat, you can try to recruit. You go to a recruitment phase. During the recruitment phase, you essentially do the same thing you did with the tactics, but you got recruitment. You can only recruit 1 card unless you play another card that says you can recruit more than that. You then have to go ahead and spend what recruitment points you have in order to buy cards from the war zone. Now, as you're going through the game, too, and you're attacking these Russian positions, you're getting cards, you also, of course, have to go for the cities, because the cities have these major victory point objectives, and you want those victory points to win the game. Whoever has the most victory points is going to win, so you want to go after the cities, because they are really the best way to get points. The problem is, you don't just attack the city, you also attack an event. Now, you have an event deck that's face down, you pull the top event out, and that's going to add points to the city. So you never know exactly how many attack strength that city's going to take to beat. You're always going to have to overestimate, because you know a card's going to come out there, and it's going to have more. So once you declare your attack, you check that event. The event's going to throw monkey wrenches in your plans, but if you can get through the attack, you can get the card, you can kind of put that in the deployment zone there, and then that's out there for the rest of the game for you. Now, there's, again, a wide variety of cards you can recruit. And, again, they're kind of based on German formations. You know, you've got artillery, you've got infantry, you've got tanks, you've got panzer regiments, you've got an SS regiment. It's all very, very much based in kind of the military jargon of the era. You also have cards of supply that can give you benefits. Most of them are kind of one-off. You use them, then you get rid of them. There are support cards that are going to come in that are also going to help you throughout the game. And there's a few other little bells and whistles that come with the game as well. Now, after you go through and do all these phases several times, you're going to whittle down the city deck. And at the very bottom of the city deck is Moscow. Moscow is a very hard city to take, but once the player takes Moscow, you finish the turn, and then whoever has the most victory points wins Barbarossa. Now, believe it or not, I was interested in this game because I liked the idea of a kind of a war game deck builder. And I wanted to see kind of how this would work. Both this game and another game this company has called El Alamein, which is about the North African campaign. Again, with these half-naked anime girls. So I played Barbarossa kind of with that in mind, that I really kind of wanted to see how this would play out. And, you know, it's a deck builder, and as I say, it's pretty abstracted. So it's not like there's great, you know, war game strategy going on in here. That's not what the game is about. It's a fairly straightforward deck builder, but it does take a while to get used to how those tactic points and those recruitment points kind of limit you to how many cards you can play and how many cards you can recruit in your turn. You still have to pay for them. You've just got those tactic points and recruitment points that just say how many you can play, how many you can recruit, but then you still have to pay a cost for them. That takes a little getting used to. It's not something, you know, you just pick up immediately, at least not for me and my friends. It took us a while to kind of get used to that. But still, there is something kind of fun and interesting about the way this system works and the way mechanically this system works. Like all deck builders, there's a tremendous amount of luck in this game, and there's those points where I think I can get this, but I can't quite get this. And then there's other times where like, yes, I can do it. And to me, the mark of a good deck builder, because it is so heavy in luck, really is, can you make fun and interesting combinations with the cards you have? And I think you can in this game. I think you can do some really fun and interesting things with the cards you have in this game. Now, regarding the artwork, regarding the anime, half-naked anime chicks, you know, it is what it is. I mean, this company, that's the aesthetic they were going for, and perhaps some people will buy this game because of that. You know, this is not a game I think kids should be playing. It's not. There are some cards that, you know, frankly, I'm kind of... I probably won't even show when I edit this review together because I'm like, oh, it's a little, I don't know. And I'm not a prude by any means. I'm really not. But I just, you know, I just, I don't, when I was playing this game, I wasn't uncomfortable with it. But at the same time, you know, I'm playing this kind of in a public game store and thinking, you know, what if people come by and they say, oh, what are you playing there? You know, there is that. I mean, this is not a game for kids, and this is not a game for everybody because of the artwork. I mean, I'm sure some people would have a real problem with the artwork, and, you know, I don't, but I can't say I could blame people that would. That all said, it's an interesting game. It's not a bad game, but for all of these reasons, I'm going to go ahead and say try it before you buy it. I think there's enough there for people that like deck building, and I think there's enough there for people that like this kind of World War II theme, and I'm sure there's something here for people who like the art work of this game. But again, all of those things on one level or another may turn some people off. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. We are The Discriminating Gamer. And now here's a few books on World War II in Russia that you might find interesting. The Road to Stalingrad and The Road to Berlin by John Erickson. Russia's War by Richard Overy. Absolute War by Chris Bellamy. Stalingrad in Berlin, 1945 by Anthony Beaver. When Titans Clashed by David M. Glantz and Jonathan House. These books and more are available in your local library. Please somebody help me on my feet again, and I don't know where